Hey, Top Fan Rivalry followers, it is Bill and Jackson. And then guess what? It's Thursday, so we gotta film some things and we gotta give you our weekly review. So, Jackson, another week gone by. How you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Excited. Baseball started. It's
It did.
happening. Spring training. Super
Pitchers and
Bowl's
catchers
over.
report. Woo! Woo! Exactly. All right, before we get started, Jackson, you know what we gotta talk about? We gotta talk about watch parties. Go to topfanrivalry.com, hit that watch party link. We've got watch parties scheduled in Phoenix on the 23rd of March. We've got a watch party in Fountain Valley, California on March 27th. We got a watch party in Anaheim uh, on April 1st. We've got watch parties that are we're booking venues in Boston, in Houston, and in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah, those are all contracts that we're signing, and then we're gonna do it in Philly. We're gonna do it in New York. We're gonna do it in San Francisco, San Diego. We're gonna do one in LA. We're gonna be all over the place. So make sure you're clicking onto that. Get ready. Get yourself into the watch parties. If you're a locker room access person, you're going to get, if it's a free watch party, you're going to get some swag. If it's actually a venue that's going to charge us, you're going to get an extremely discounted ticket, which will get you an appetizer or a drink or something. So don't think that we're taking advantage. It's just going to be, we got to cover some costs. So, anyways, Jackson, let's talk. Giddy up. What you got for number one tonight?
All right. I think I'm going to start off with something, that's in limbo. Bally Sports, or the company that owns them, is folding, going into bankruptcy.
Yes.
So if you're one of 14 teams, that's half the league. For those of you who can do math at home, uh, just like me, I can do math most days. But you could figure out that the broadcasting rights will be in limbo. Commissioner Rob Manfred talked to the media yesterday, assuring fans that blackouts are something that they want to avoid and that they're monitoring the situation. And he has said that they will cut their contract if Bally Sports does not pay what they're supposed to the MLB to broadcast the game. So it'll be interesting as we enter the season to see, where it goes if you live in a Bally Sports region. Uh, buckle up and giddy up because you might be getting really cheap or really, really expensive TV coverage for your favorite team this year. So
Yeah, for Dodger fans, we're used to this because we had 4 or 5 seasons where we were blacked out if you were in the LA region. So sorry, Angel fans, get used to it. And the other 13 teams that have Bally's, get used to it. It's not going to be pretty.
I mean, and it's not like they're all small teams. You got Atlanta, you got St. Louis. I think Miami's in there. A lot of like big market cities, mostly in the South and on the East Coast. So it's going to be a big deal for Major League Baseball, and hopefully they handle this the right way and just make the game more accessible for fans. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We just want to watch baseball.
Yeah, just want to watch baseball. I mean, you guys just out $800 million in free agency signings. Figured out. Get us our baseball. Or as they would say in the 80s, I want my MTV. All right, Jackson, I'm gonna match you kind of sort of on a limbo statement, right? So you ready for this one? My number one.
Yeah,
Welcome to the Texas Rangers Jacob deGrom with tightness in his side, and it's in limbo on how long he's going to sit out. They think it's only going to be a day or two, but it could be the first 2 weeks of spring training. Who knows? So if you're a Mets fan, you are doing like the giddy up happy dance because you know that Jacob's going to be on and off the IL. If you're a Rangers fan, you're wondering why you paid this guy.
yeah. I mean, you want to believe the team when they say, if it was a regular season, he'd pitch through it, but they make guys pitch through a lot worse and they end up getting hurt worse. So you're hoping that the Rangers do proceed with caution because it is day one of spring training and ruin your new ace pitcher, before he even has a chance to help you out in the regular season. I mean,
Exactly.
it's all about conditioning, and it baffles me that, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not in the best shape, so you guys can roast me about that. But if I was getting paid millions of dollars to pitch, I'd probably be trying to show up in the camp in impeccable shape, so stuff like this doesn't happen. You know, I'd be doing my stretching every day, and I'd be a yoga master. I'd be bending over backwards, you know, put my foot behind my head, you know, Spencer Strider style, just to make sure, you know, I can avoid those injuries. But hopefully, as spring training wears on, we don't see too many injuries, especially with the World Baseball Classic. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt playing that, heaven forbid.
Yeah,
But early in camp, these are things to watch for because they can have a big impact on the divisional races and the pennant races.
I agree. And honestly, I'm with you, Jackson. If I were a professional baseball player, I would understand that my body is my lifestyle or is my livelihood, right? And for the 15 or 18 years that I'm playing, I have to eat like rabbit food and I got to work out like crazy and I've got to do some things that are just insane, but I'm going to get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. I think the trade-off's worth it. I don't know about you, but I think the trade-off's worth it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I like it. Okay, what you got for number two?
good call on that one, Bill.
Yay, good. Like it.
Number two, so the MLB uh, showed off their new bases among other rule changes. You folks can look up. There's a funny way of how they're going to play the shift allegedly, where the left fielder is going to play that short right field position instead of the third baseman. But I think one of the most impactful rule changes is one that kind of came to light today, that Major League Baseball is going to crack down on pitchers starting and stopping after coming set. This impacts a lot of high-profile pitchers, actually, such as Kevin Gausman, Framber Valdez. Guys that like to take, they come set, they come down, and they like to do a little extra movement before they start. And the reason why the MLB is doing this is because the new pitch clock, and it's to not confuse the operators. The operators need to know the precise time, when the pitcher is starting his motion. So with this crackdown, I think we'll see it will throw some pitchers out of rhythm. I think in the grand scheme of things, I'm sorry, Framber, your windup looks absolutely dumb. Luis Garcia, your windup looks absolutely dumb, rocking the baby. Doing whatever you do. Kevin Gausman, the little wobble, Johnny Cueto with the triple back thing. I think it all it does is waste time, and I think it's going to be harmful to the whole mind game of the windup. It ruins the spirit of the windup, but in practicality, I think it's going to work out just okay.
Yeah, it's I'll bring up another rule change here in a second on my number two, but I yeah, I saw that and I thought, okay, some of these pitchers have been doing this for years. And Jackson, you've lived in a foreign country, you understand this. In places where baseball isn't as what I'll call PC, you go down into some of the South America places, even Japan. You go into Japan, people hit home runs, they bat flip, they get all excited. We're the only ones that kind of try to keep it on a conservative level. And so some of these pitchers have learned how to pitch this way, and it's something an entirely new thing for them. Entirely new rhythm, entirely new thing. We'll see how it plays out, right?
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out. So, okay, keep it along. I mean, gosh, Jackson, you're just leading me into my topics too, but rule changes. Okay. At some point, I'm wondering when we're going to start saying each player needs to play 3 innings and get one at bat. I mean, we have come up with, like in Little League, we have come up with every conceivable way. But the one that drives me absolutely insane, the one that I cannot stand, okay, and I understand why they're doing it because they're trying to speed up the game. For the love of everything decent and holy, get rid of the ghost runner. But now they just made it an official thing. So the ghost runner will start on second in extra innings in perpetuity. And I was talking to somebody offline and they brought up a really good point. Hey, fine. You want a ghost runner? Start him in the 12th inning or start him in the 13th inning. But play natural baseball, because even before the ghost runner, how many games really went past the 11th inning?
Not a
A
lot.
handful? A handful? Really? I mean, usually in the 10th or 11th, somebody scores and it's over, right?
That, that one playoff game between Cleveland and Tampa Bay this last year, that went
Yeah,
16.
yeah. And and so my thing is when you have this thing, so if I'm a relief pitcher, I'm coming in and if I'm starting an inning, I'm used to having the mental capacity of, hey, I'm starting this inning, I got to be fresh, I got to be good. But when I start an inning and I got a runner on second and I got to start from the stretch, and if I give up one base hit, we could lose the game over it. Now, tell me, 5 years ago, Jackson, if your relief pitcher, if your closer for the Braves gave up a base hit to the first batter up, but then struck out the next three batters or got a double play ball and struck out the next batter, but only gave up one hit, that's a successful outing. With the ghost
Yeah.
runner, it's not. You lose the game.
Yeah. I don't like it because immediately after it eliminates the home field advantage for the home team, I feel like it going into extra innings. Because
Yeah.
the away team gets this massive advantage if they can push one run across. It kind of feels like, the floodgates teetering on opening. Because even pushing one run across guarantees them at least one mistake they can make during the next inning. Whereas normally in extra innings, you cannot afford to make one mistake.
Mhm. No, I agree. I agree. And am I the only guy too that thinks that, hey, if we're going to start with the ghost runner, my first batter is going to bunt it, and I'm going to move that runner over to third base, and now I got two shots to score. Am I the only guy that thinks that?
No, I think that way, and I saw it a lot last year. I watched a lot of Braves games. When the home team comes at the bat, they immediately intentionally walk the first guy. And you want to talk about pace of play, you want to talk about teams being competitive. I think it's stupid because then imagine this: you start the inning with a runner on second, and they get to basically intentionally walk a guy for free because he doesn't matter. He's the winning run. They get a ground ball, they get a double play, and they get someone to roll over or someone to pop up. They're out of the inning, and they can be out of the inning in two pitches, just like that.
Yep, exactly, exactly.
So again, I think it puts the home team at a disadvantage, which I think should never be the case in baseball. The home team should always have that slight advantage because they are batting second.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Um, all right, so what do you got for number three?
Number three, your favorite team down south in California has been a little busy the last couple of days.
Yes, they have.
So San Diego signed Michael Wacha to a 4-year, $26 million contract.
Mhm.
Uh, he's going to be their fifth starter, allegedly. And then they just signed Cole Hamels to a minor league deal.
I was wondering if you were going to mention Cole Hamels.
Braves legend Cole Hamels. You got to be
Yeah.
careful. So, uh, San Diego really is truly going all in. I don't know about the kind of money they're guaranteeing Michael Wacha. Wacha is a guy on his best day, he's pretty good, but his bad days are rough. He's had before last year, he had back to backs. It was either back to back or three straight seasons of a 5+ ERA. And he only kind of stayed in the league because he came into the league pretty strong. So I feel like this is a big gamble for San Diego, who has had a lot of uncertainty in the rotation over the past several years. They're kind of taking a gamble on a guy who had a really good year last year, and I think when you're going all in, you kind of don't want to be gambling once most of the chips are on the table. I feel like San Diego could have at least looked for a different option.
Yeah.
My honorable mention was going to be the Brewers stiffed Corbin Burns on the arbitration hearing, and he's a little hurt. So Corbin Burns might be available at the trade deadline. The
What do you
Padres
mean that
still
at the trade deadline? If he makes it out of April, did you read his comments?
I did. He might get traded sooner than that, but at latest the trade deadline. So you would think that a team that's going all in would monitor something like that or look for an option like that.
Hmm.
Go for all in, all in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, rumor has it that there was a number of trade potentials, but the Brewers are asking for an arm and two legs. for him. And so, I mean, if he doesn't get traded, I'm sure Corbin's going to fake a wrist injury or something and be out half the season just to tick off management, right?
I mean, I think the Brewers are right in demanding a lot for Corbin Burns, considering he's a Cy Young caliber pitcher. He's a really, really good pitcher.
Mhm.
So those
Yeah.
don't pop up too often, especially if you draft and develop that. The Brewers feel like they should get something because they drafted and developed that.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting that going back to the Padres though for a second, Jackson. What's interesting to me about the Padres scenario is this. The Padres are really, really going all in because you have guys like Blake Snell who are free agents at the end of the season, and this guy's going to demand $100 million, just like Hugh Darvish got, just like Joe Musgrove got, and he's going to make a great case for it, so to speak. You're going to lose him probably. If they don't win the World Series, I wouldn't be surprised if Manny opted out. I could see Tatis getting traded if there's any drama with him. You can't. I don't know if the Padres can really go after Shohei and Juan Soto because you're talking between both of those guys, you're probably going to have to dish out $900 million. So that means between Shohei and Juan Soto and Joe Musgrove and um, Fernando Tatis and uh, Joe or Hugh Darvish, you're talking about probably $1.3 billion in contracts. Actually, a little bit more than that, about $1.5 billion in contracts. Too much. It's too much. So the
Yeah,
Padres are going to have to let loose of some of this stuff. This is their all-in year. If they don't get it this year,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they made it to the NLCS for the first time in what, like 25 years
Mhm.
last year, 24 years. No, because they were in the NLCS in 1999. 23 years thereabouts. So
Thereabouts. It was to my understanding that there'd be no math here tonight. No. Um,
I said I do math sometimes. So
yeah. So the one thing though that is unique about that, as you're mentioning, okay, is you have two seasons. You have the regular season and you have the postseason. As the Dodgers proved last year, you could have the best record in your league and lose in the first round. The Padres could win 115 games this season and lose in the first round of the playoffs. It's conceivable. Things happen. And so,
that's baseball. Playoff baseball isn't about being the best team. It's about being the best team 3 out of 5 times or 4 out of 7 times.
yep,
Which teams have bad weeks.
yep. I will arguably say that the Braves in 2021 and the Dodgers in 2020 and the Nationals for doggone sure in 2019 were not the best teams that were in their league. And yet they came out of the league and they weren't the best teams in baseball. The Dodgers weren't in 2020. I mean, they were the best team in the West, but the Braves, you guys should have taken us that year.
Yeah,
And it just fell apart. And so, yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I love it. I love it. Okay. So my last one is gonna be another kind of Debbie Downer one, which makes me nervous. Okay. So who else in Major League Baseball is injury prone? You got three big names, right? Jacob DeGrom, we already mentioned him. Mike Trout with back injuries, right? We don't need to mention him tonight. Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw has an undisclosed issue that isn't clearing him to play in the World Baseball Classic.
so I actually read about this right before I hopped on, and it can range from not having the proper insurance to register for the World Baseball Classic, because that is required,
Hmm.
to an actual injury. So it could just be that he can't get anyone to insure him because his back is so jacked up from from
Which,
carrying from carrying the Dodgers from it for a decade plus.
hey, 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 hey.
Hey, he's put the team on his back. You
Hey, you're
cannot
lucky
deny
you're on
it.
the East Coast, brother. I would have, I, well, I oughta. I love it. I love it.
But
Yeah,
he, he's been he's been the face of the franchise. He's been their best pitcher. So
yeah.
you know we
I
we want to see Kershaw pitch for Team USA, but as a baseball fan too, I think it's the Dodgers' best interest to try to convince him that it's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it breaks my heart a little bit, even if it's just the insurance thing. It tells you where he's physically at. And honestly, Dodger fans, if they're realistic, which some are, some aren't, right? And that's not just Dodger fans, that's any fan of any team, right? Um, if they're realistic, they know that we paid him 1 year, $20 million. We know that he's not going to have 35 starts like he used to. He'll be lucky to get 20 in. Okay. We know that. We know that he's going to spend some time on the IL. We're paying him for two reasons. One, for what he can do on the mound with whatever gas he's got left in the tank. And two, what he can do in the dugout with the young pitchers. So if you're a Bobby Miller that's just coming up, or you're a Ryan Pepiot who got a small drink of water in the majors last year, and you're going to be coming up like for a full drink of water this year. If you're a guy like that, if you're a Julio Arias, if you're a Walker Buehler coming off Tommy John surgery, who do you want in your corner? You want Clayton Kershaw. You want a guy that you know is a first ballot guy who's been there, right? So we're paying him to do dual roles. So not we, Top Fan Rivalry's not paying him. Dodgers are paying him. But if I had that kind of money, Top Fan Rivalry followers, we'd have 40 watch parties this year. No.
I was going to say, if we had that kind of money to pay Clayton Kershaw, it'd be pretty nice. I don't think we'd be doing the podcast if we had that.
Be in the studio, right? We'd be doing a television show. So
Yeah, see me on MLB TV.
yeah, Top Fan Rivalry TV. So Top Fan Rivalry followers, we finished another episode here for you. We're gonna continue to do these. Obviously, you watching them in the locker room, so you already know that. Make sure that you're registering for the watch parties, and make sure you're using which code when you buy merchandise. Jackson, what's the code?
Use code Jackson. Gets you
Code
10% off.
Code Jackson.
10% off a sweet T-shirt. 10% off a sweet hat. We just got some new hats. Got some new hats in. They're red and black. They look really
red and black. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, 10% off baseball cards too. So there's some new baseball cards in, from my understanding.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
There is more merch on the way. I can't tell you everything, but more stuff's on the way, guys.
It is. It is. It is. So Jackson, should we do this again next week?
Of course. We'll be 1 week deeper in spring training. One week closer to opening day.
Exactly. Top Fan Rivalry followers, we appreciate you, and we'll have you on. Make sure we continue to give you our best content each week for you, and we'll see you next week.